I was sitting at my father's mahogany dining table when my sister spat in my face. Not metaphorically. Literally. Her saliva dripped down my cheek as everyone in that room, my father, my brother, even my nephew, just watched. "You're disgusting," Pamela hissed. "Choosing your bastard daughter over family." My crime? I'd hesitated when my father demanded I hand over my 8-year-old daughter's college fund, $47,000 my late grandmother had secretly saved, to pay for my nephew Marcus's Yale tuition. The golden child. The heir. The boy who mattered. While my Lily? She was just average. Destined for community college, they said. Why waste money on mediocrity? I wiped the spit from my face with a cloth napkin embroidered with a baptism of humiliation, would change everything. And that's where my story truly began. Before I share this chapter of my life. If you've ever felt ignored, unheard, or underestimated, then this channel is for you. Subscribe to Jossy Revenge, where every story has a heartbeat. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. I need you to understand something about the Dalton family before we go any further. We weren't just wealthy. We were legacy wealthy. My great-grandfather built Dalton Industries from nothing, steel manufacturing, then real estate, then tech investments. By the time I was born, our name meant something in Connecticut. Country club memberships. Ivy League connections. Generational wealth that came with generational expectations. And the biggest expectation? Sons carry the legacy. Daughters, well, we marry well and look pretty at charity galas. My father, Harold Dalton, made this clear from the moment I could understand words. I remember being 7 years old, bringing home straight A's from my private school. I ran into his study, report card clutched in my small hands, so proud I thought I might burst. "Daddy, look. All A's again." He glanced up from his newspaper, reading glasses perched on his nose. "That's nice, Gina. Where's your brother?" Vincent, my older brother by 3 years, had gotten 2 B's that semester. But when he walked in, my father stood up, shook his hand like a business partner, and took him to his favorite steakhouse to celebrate being a Dalton man. I ate dinner alone with the housekeeper that night. You'd think I'd learn. But hope is a stubborn thing when you're a child desperate for your father's approval. I graduated valedictorian. He sent a card. I got into Cornell for pre-med. He wrote the check without comment. I became a pediatric nurse practitioner, working 60-hour weeks at Children's Hospital. He asked when I'd find a husband. And then I met Craig. Craig Richardson was everything my father wanted for me on paper: Harvard MBA, finance job, good family name. Handsome in that preppy, forgettable way. Safe. What my father didn't see, or didn't care to see, was that Craig was also emotionally unavailable, dismissive, and had the empathy of a parking meter. But I was 32, hearing my father's voice in my head every family dinner: "When are you going to settle down, Gina? The Brennan name dies with you if you don't have children." So I married Craig in a ceremony my father paid for but barely attended. He left early for a golf tournament. When I got pregnant with Lily 2 years later, I thought maybe, this would be my moment. A grandchild. A legacy continuation. I called my father from the hospital, still exhausted from 18 hours of labor. "Dad, she's here. Lily Margaret Dalton Richardson. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. Perfect." Silence on the other end. Then, a girl. "Well. That's fine, Gina. Is Craig there?" "He didn't visit for 3 weeks. But you want to know who did show up?" My grandmother. Margaret Brennan, my mother's mother, arrived at the hospital within hours, tears streaming down her weathered face, holding Lily like she was made of starlight and promises. "She's extraordinary," Grandma Margaret whispered. "Don't you let anyone tell her otherwise. Not your father. Not anyone." My grandmother understood. She'd lived through the same dismissal, watching her own sons receive everything while her daughters received expectations. When Lily was 3 months old, Craig left. No warning. No conversation. Just a note on the kitchen counter, *, I can't do this. The crying, the responsibility. I'm not ready. I've moved out. My lawyer will contact you. He disappeared to San Francisco, started a new life, sent minimum child support payments, and never looked back. My father's response when I told him? I told you to vet him better, Gina. This is what happens when you rush into marriage. Now you're a single mother with no prospects. How do you expect to find another husband now? Not, are you okay? Not, how can I help? Just disappointment. Again. Meanwhile, my brother Vincent and his wife Denise had their son Marcus the same year Lily was born. And suddenly, the entire Dalton universe had a son to revolve around. Marcus wasn't just a baby. He was the baby. The male heir. The carrier of the Dalton name and legacy. Family dinners became Marcus appreciation sessions. My father, who'd barely held Lily, carried Marcus around like a trophy. Photos of Marcus covered the manor walls. His first steps were treated like a moon landing. He's going to run Dalton Industries someday, my father would announce to anyone who'd listen. Sharp as a tack, that boy. You can see the brilliance in his eyes. Marcus was 3. And my sister Pamela, the youngest of us 3 siblings, perpetually trying to earn our father's approval through complete submission to his worldview, became Marcus's biggest cheerleader and Lily's biggest critic. Some children are just born exceptional, Pamela would say at family gatherings, watching Marcus stumble around while Lily sat quietly with a picture book. And some are, well, they're fine. Perfectly average. Nothing wrong with average. She'd smile at me when she said it. Sweet as poison. The comparisons only got worse as the kids grew. When Marcus got into the elite Prescott Academy for elementary school, it was front-page news in our family. Celebration dinner. Champagne. My father personally drove him to his first day. Lily got into the same school the following year on her own merit. Her test scores were actually higher than Marcus's. My father's response? Well, they have diversity quotas to fill now. Good for her. Diversity quotas. For his own granddaughter. I stopped expecting fairness after that. I stopped expecting acknowledgement. I just focused on raising Lily the best I could on my nurse's salary, in our modest 2-bedroom apartment 40 minutes from the Dalton estate. My grandmother was our lifeline. Every Tuesday, Grandma Margaret would pick up Lily after school. They'd go to museums, libraries, parks. She'd teach Lily about art, about literature, about her own mother, my mom, who died when I was 19. Your mother was brilliant, Grandma Margaret would tell Lily. And you have her mind, sweetheart. Don't let anyone dim that light. When Lily was 7, Grandma Margaret got sick. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. 6 months to live, maybe less. I spent every spare moment at her bedside. Lily would sit next to her, reading aloud from chapter books, holding her papery hand. One afternoon, 2 weeks before she passed, Grandma Margaret pulled me aside. I've set up a trust, she said quietly. For Lily's education. It's not much, $47,000. But it's hers. Only hers. For college. Promise me you won't let your father know. Promise me you won't let them touch it. Grandma, you didn't have to. Promise me, Gina. I promised. She died on a Tuesday. Lily was 8 years old. The funeral was the last time the whole family gathered peacefully. My father gave a short eulogy about family values and legacy. Pamela cried performatively. Vincent checked his phone. I held Lily's hand and grieved the only person who'd ever truly seen me. 3 months later, Marcus got his acceptance to Yale. Early admission. Full acceptance to the class of 2024. The family went absolutely insane with celebration. My father hosted a party at the estate, 200 guests, live band, ice sculptures shaped like the Yale Bulldog. 17-year-old Marcus gave a speech about carrying forward the Dalton tradition of excellence. Lily, sitting next to me in a corner, was 13. She'd just won a regional science fair for a project on renewable energy algorithms. Not one person at that party knew. Not one person asked. "Mom," Lily whispered to me, "can we go home?" "Soon, baby." But we couldn't leave soon enough. Because 2 weeks after Marcus's acceptance party, my father called a mandatory family meeting. "All adult Daltons required," he said on the phone. "This is about Marcus's future. Be at the estate Sunday at 2 p.m. No excuses." Something in his tone made my stomach drop. I almost didn't go. But some part of me, that little 7-year-old girl still hoping for her father's approval, got dressed, dropped Lily at a friend's house, and drove to the Dalton estate. I walked into that dining room with no idea my entire life was about to detonate. Have you ever had a moment where you realized you'd been playing a game you didn't know the rules to? And everyone else was already 10 moves ahead? That's what the next 2 hours felt like. The dining room looked exactly like it had my entire life. 14-foot ceilings. Crown molding. Oil paintings of Dalton ancestors glaring down from gilded frames. The mahogany table that seated 20, polished to a mirror shine. My father sat at the head, naturally. Vincent to his right. Pamela to his left. Marcus, 17 and smug in his Yale hoodie, sat next to Vincent. There was an empty chair at the far end. For me. Always at the far end. Always at the margins. "Gina. You're late," my father said without looking up from the papers in front of him. I checked my watch. I was 4 minutes early. "Sorry," I said automatically, hating myself for it. I sat down. The chair felt miles away from everyone else. My father cleared his throat, his signature moved before making pronouncements. "I've called this meeting to discuss a family investment opportunity," he began. "As you all know, Marcus has been accepted to Yale. An extraordinary achievement that reflects well on our entire family." Vincent beamed. Pamela actually started a small golf clap. I stayed quiet. However, my father continued, "There have been some financial complications. The portfolio took unexpected hits this quarter. The markets have been volatile. Some investments in the tech sector didn't perform as projected." This was the first I'd heard of any financial trouble. The Daltons had always seemed untouchable, financially speaking. Vincent jumped in. "What Dad's saying is that liquid assets are temporarily tied up. We're asset-rich but cash-poor at the moment. It's a timing issue." "Temporary," Pamela echoed, nodding like a dashboard bobblehead. My father's jaw tightened. He hated admitting anything resembling weakness. "Yale's tuition, room, and board is $83,000 annually," he said. "For 4 years, we're looking at over $330,000. The 529 plan we established for Marcus will cover roughly half. But we're short approximately $165,000 for the full 4 years." I still didn't understand why I was there. Vincent leaned forward. "We're asking all family members to contribute to Marcus's education. As an investment in the Dalton legacy." "I've already committed $30,000, Pamela announced, looking at me pointedly. "From my savings. Because family comes first." Pamela was a part-time yoga instructor married to a dentist. $30,000 was probably a significant chunk of her money. The room went quiet. Everyone was looking at me. "I don't understand," I said slowly. "You want me to contribute to Marcus's tuition?" "We're asking all Daltons to invest in the next generation," my father said. His tone had that edge it got when he expected obedience. "Vincent is covering $50,000. Pamela, $30,000. We're asking you to contribute $47,000. The number hit me like ice water. $47,000. The exact amount in Lily's trust fund. My grandmother's trust fund. The one she'd made me promise to protect. How do you know that number? I asked quietly. My father's expression didn't change. Your grandmother's estate was settled through our family attorneys. I'm aware of all trusts and accounts bearing the Dalton or Brennan name. That money is for Lily's education. Lily is 13, Pamela cut in, her voice dripping with condescension. She doesn't need college money right now. Marcus has already been accepted to Yale. This is time sensitive. And let's be honest, Vincent added, not even trying to hide his smirk, Lily's not exactly Yale material. No offense, Gina, but she's more of a state school kid. Maybe community college. That $47,000 will go a lot further for her at a cheaper school anyway. Something cracked inside my chest. My daughter is brilliant, I said, voice shaking. She's in advanced placement classes. She won the regional science fair. She's adequate, my father interrupted. Marcus is exceptional. There's a difference. The family's resources should go toward exceptional. I looked around the table. At my brother, smirking. At my sister, righteous. At my nephew, entitled and bored, scrolling on his phone. At my father, who'd never once looked at me the way he looked at Vincent. No, I said. The word felt like jumping off a cliff. Excuse me? My father's voice went dangerously soft. No. That money is Lily's. My grandmother left it specifically for her education. I'm not giving it to Marcus. Pamela laughed. Actually laughed. Are you seriously choosing your daughter over your nephew? Over family? Lily is family. Lily is the child of a man who abandoned you, Pamela snapped. She has his failure in her blood. Marcus is a Dalton. The difference matters. I stood up. My chair scraped against the hardwood. I'm leaving. Sit down, Gina. My father's command voice. The one that had made me obey my entire life. But something was different now. Maybe it was grief over my grandmother. Maybe it was 39 years of being invisible. Maybe it was hearing my daughter, my brilliant, kind, extraordinary daughter, called adequate. No. Vincent stood too, blocking my path to the door. You're being selfish. This is about family legacy. About doing what's right. What's right? My voice rose. What's right is protecting my daughter's future. What's right is honoring my grandmother's wishes. What's right is... Your grandmother was a bitter old woman who resented male success, my father cut in coldly. She filled your head with nonsense about equality and women's potential. Look where that got you, divorced, struggling, raising a mediocre child alone. The room spun. If you walk out of here without committing that money, my father continued, you're walking out of this family. No more family dinners. No more holidays. No more access to family resources or connections. You'll be on your own. She's already on her own, Pamela muttered. Look at her. I looked at my sister. Really looked at her. Pamela was 41, childless, married to a man who barely spoke to her, spending her days desperately seeking our father's approval by parroting his every opinion. And I realized, I didn't want to end up like her. I need to think about it, I said, trying to buy time. That's when Pamela stood up, walked around the table, and got inches from my face. You need to think about choosing family over your bastard daughter, she hissed. Don't call her that. That's what she is. A mistake from a failed marriage. Meanwhile, Marcus is. Marcus is a spoiled child who's had everything handed to him. Pamela's face went red. How dare you? I'm telling the truth. Marcus has never worked for anything. Lily has had to. And that's when Pamela spat in my face. I felt the wetness hit my cheek, warm and shocking. Saw the hatred in my sister's eyes. Heard Marcus snicker. Watched my brother look away, embarrassed but silent. Saw my father sit there, unmoved, as his daughter was literally spat upon in his dining room. "You're disgusting," Pamela said. "Choosing your bastard daughter over family." I reached for the cloth napkin at my place setting, embroidered with our family crest, the one I'd folded 1,000 times at family dinners, and wiped my face. My hand was shaking. No one said a word. Vincent studied his fingernails. Marcus was back on his phone. My father just watched me, waiting. Waiting for me to break. To apologize. To comply. I set the napkin down carefully, smoothed my blouse, and looked my father in the eye. "You're right," I said quietly. "I am choosing my daughter. Every single time. Over all of you." I walked to the door. "If you leave, you're dead to me," my father called out. "Dead to this family." I stopped, hand on the doorknob, and turned back one last time. "Good," I said. "Because you've been dead to me for 39 years. I was just too afraid to admit it." I walked out of the Dalton estate. I called Lily from the car, hands still shaking. "Hey Mom. Did the meeting go okay?" I looked at myself in the rearview mirror. Saw the red mark on my cheek where my sister's spit had landed. Saw tears I hadn't realized were falling. "Baby," I said, voice cracking, "how do you feel about it being just us from now on? You and me against the world?" Silence on the other end. Then. "Mom, it's always been you and me against the world. I like it that way." I started laughing and crying at the same time. "Me too, baby. Me too." I drove us home to our small apartment. Made grilled cheese sandwiches. Watched a movie with Lily curled against my side. And I didn't tell her about the meeting. Not yet. She was 13. She didn't need to know how cruel people could be, even people who were supposed to love you. But that night, after she went to bed, I transferred my grandmother's trust fund into a new account. One my father couldn't access. One with only my name and Lily's name. $47,000. My grandmother's final gift. Her final act of rebellion against a family that had undervalued her too. I made a promise to her memory that night: Lily would go to college. A good college. And she become everything she was meant to be. The Daltons could keep their legacy, their estate, their golden child. We'd build our own. What I didn't know, what I couldn't possibly know, was that 4 years later, everything would change. That Marcus would drop out of Yale after 2 semesters, partying away his exceptional opportunity. That my father's financial troubles would deepen into full crisis. That Lily would graduate high school with a 4.0, get into a state university on academic scholarship, and discover a talent that would change both our lives. And that one day, we'd be invited back. Not as beggars. Not as the forgotten ones. But as proof that being underestimated is sometimes the greatest gift of all. ## Section 3, when the helicopter landed. For years passed like a held breath finally released. I want to tell you they were easy years, but I'd be lying. The first few months after walking out of that dining room were brutal. My father kept his word. I was cut off completely. No Christmas cards. No birthday calls. Nothing. Pamela sent me one text message, *, you made your choice. Live with it. *. Vincent didn't even bother with that. But Lily and I? We figured it out. I picked up extra shifts at the hospital. Started doing weekend clinics. Lily got a part-time job at 16, tutoring kids in math and science, even though I told her she didn't have to. "Mom, we're a team," she said simply. "Teams help each other." She got into State University with a full academic scholarship. Not Yale. Not an Ivy. But a solid school with an incredible computer science program. "Are you disappointed?" she asked me the day the acceptance letter came. I grabbed her face in both hands. "Baby, I have never been more proud of anything in my entire life. You did this. All on your own." What I didn't tell her, I was terrified the $47,000 wouldn't be enough for everything else: room, board, books, living expenses for 4 years. But Lily made it work. She budgeted like a forensic accountant. Got a campus job. Applied for every small scholarship she could find. Lived in the cheapest dorms. And she thrived. By sophomore year, she was taking advanced programming courses. By junior year, she'd built her first app, some kind of energy management algorithm I barely understood, but that made her professors go quiet with respect. "Mom, I think I found my thing," she told me over FaceTime, eyes bright with excitement. "Your thing?" "The thing I'm supposed to do. I'm creating software that helps buildings reduce energy consumption in real time. Like, actually reduce it by 40 to 60%. I think it could." "Mom, I think it could be big." I had no idea how big. Meanwhile, through the grapevine, a former housekeeper who stayed in touch with me, I heard things about the Dalton family. Marcus had dropped out of Yale after 3 semesters. Partying, failing classes, general entitlement. He moved back home, bounced between startup ideas that went nowhere, lived off my father's increasingly strained finances. The exceptional, golden child was now 21 and directionless. Vincent's marriage fell apart. Denise left him for her personal trainer, took half of everything in the divorce. Pamela's husband divorced her too. Turns out being bitter and judgmental isn't attractive long-term. She moved into a women's shelter temporarily, too proud to ask our father for help, or maybe he didn't have it to give. And my father's business empire? Crumbling. Bad investments. Changing markets. Failure to adapt. The Dalton Industries name didn't carry the weight it used to. I didn't take pleasure in any of it. Honestly, I felt nothing. They were strangers now. People I used to know in another lifetime. Lily graduated at 21 with a computer science degree, summa cum laude, and multiple job offers. She turned them all down. "Mom, I'm starting my own company," she announced over dinner at our favorite cheap Thai place, the one we'd been going to since she was 14. "Your own company?" "Green Path Technologies. The energy management platform I built? I'm scaling it. I have 3 investors interested. And Mom, one of them is offering $2 million in seed funding." I choked on my pad thai. The next 3 years were a blur. Lily moved to San Francisco. Started hiring a team. Launched Green Path Technologies officially. Signed contracts with universities, hospitals, corporate office buildings. Her platform didn't just reduce energy consumption, it revolutionized it. Real-time AI monitoring, predictive analytics, integration with existing building systems. Companies saved millions in energy costs. Environmental impact was massive. She appeared in Forbes. Then TechCrunch. Then on a panel at a climate technology summit. At 24, Lily sold Green Path Technologies to a major energy conglomerate for $200 million. $200 million. My adequate daughter. My state school kid. My mediocre child. She called me the day the sale went through, crying. "Mom, we did it. Baby, you did it. This is all you." "No," she said firmly. "You believed in me when no one else did. You protected Grandma Margaret's money when they tried to take it. You worked double shifts so I could focus on school. This is ours." The first thing Lily did with the money? Bought me a house. Not a mansion, I wouldn't have wanted that, but a beautiful 3-bedroom cottage 20 minutes from the ocean, with a garden and a reading nook and space for both of us. The second thing? She established the Margaret Brennan Foundation, $5 million dedicated to helping women in crisis access education, job training, and emergency support. "Grandma saw me when everyone else looked past me," Lily explained. "This is how we make sure other girls get seen too." I cried for an hour straight when she told me. And life was good. Peaceful. We'd built something real, something that wasn't about legacy or proving anything to anyone. Until the invitation came. It arrived on a Tuesday, exactly 6 years after my grandmother died. Expensive cardstock. Embossed lettering. Asterisk, the Dalton family cordially invites you to a family reunion at the estate. October 12, 2 p.m. We hope to reconnect and heal old wounds. Your presence would mean the world. Asterisk. It was signed by my father. I stared at it for 20 minutes, then called Lily. They want us to come to a family reunion. Silence on the other end. Then, why now? I don't know. Do you want to go? Did I? Part of me wanted to throw the invitation in the trash, forget they existed. Part of me was curious. What did they want? Why reach out after 6 years of silence? I think, I said slowly, I need to see them one more time. For closure. But only if you're okay with it. Mom, Lily said, and I could hear the smile in her voice, I'm a 25-year-old CEO worth $200 million. I think I can handle a family reunion. That's my girl. We decided to go. But we decided to make an entrance. October 12th was crisp and perfect, autumn in Connecticut at its peak. We could have driven. We could have arrived quietly. Instead, Lily chartered a helicopter. If we're doing this, she said, eyes twinkling, we're doing it right. The helicopter landed on the front lawn of the Dalton estate at exactly 2:07 p.m. I watched through the window as people poured out of the house, shielding their eyes from the rotor wash, staring in confusion and shock. The pilot opened our door. Lily stepped out first in a tailored cream pantsuit, Louboutin heels, hair professionally styled, looking every inch the successful CEO she was. I followed in a simple navy dress, holding my head high. My father stood on the front steps, 73 years old now, grayer and smaller than I remembered. Vincent next to him, paunchy and tired looking. Pamela off to the side in clothes that had seen better days. And Marcus, 25 now, same age as Lily, in a rumpled polo shirt, looking lost. We walked toward them across the perfect lawn. No one spoke. My father found his voice first. Gina. You came. You invited us. His eyes moved to Lily, and I watched him try to place her, this confident young woman who'd arrived in a helicopter. You remember Lily, I said evenly. Of course. You've grown. I have. Lily's smile was polite and completely impenetrable. Pamela stepped forward, awkward. Thank you for coming. Both of you. We wanted to reconnect. I waited. There had to be more. Vincent cleared his throat. We wanted to apologize. For how things ended. It was a difficult time, and things were said that. Things were said? I repeated softly. Pamela spat in my face. Dad called my daughter mediocre and threatened to disown me if I didn't hand over her college fund. Those aren't just things that were said. Uncomfortable silence. We were under financial stress, my father said, and he actually sounded defensive. We made mistakes. We're hoping we can move forward. As family. How bad is it? Lily asked suddenly. The financial situation. Everyone stared at her. I'm not asking to be cruel, she continued, voice calm and professional. I'm asking because I need to understand context. Grandpa, how bad is it? My father's jaw worked. Pride warring with desperation. Dalton Industries is facing bankruptcy, he finally admitted. We're trying to restructure, but it's not looking promising. The estate is mortgaged. Vincent lost his home in the divorce. Pamela is living in a women's shelter. And Marcus. He looked at his grandson with something that might have been disappointment. I'm between opportunities, Marcus muttered. You're unemployed, Lily corrected gently. You dropped out of Yale, haven't held a job longer than 4 months, and you're living with your grandfather. Marcus flushed red. Who the hell do you think? I'm the person your family tried to rob to pay for your education, Lily said, still calm. The adequate one. The state school kid. Remember? Silence. I didn't know about that, Marcus said quietly. They never told me where the money came from. Of course they didn't. Lily turned to my father. You invited us here hoping for a bailout. Didn't you? My father's face went gray. We heard about your success. We thought perhaps family could help family. The way family should. The audacity almost made me laugh. But Lily just nodded slowly. I see. And 6 years ago, when Mom needed family, where were you? No answer. When I was applying to colleges and working 2 jobs to afford textbooks, where were you? Nothing. When Mom worked 60-hour weeks to keep us fed and housed after you cut her off for protecting me, where were you? My father looked at the ground. Lily walked closer to him. I'm not giving you money to save your company or your estate. That's not why we came. I saw hope die in his eyes. Saw Pamela's face crumble. Saw Vincent's shoulders sag. But, Lily continued, I am going to help. Everyone's head snapped up. Marcus, she said, turning to him, my foundation has a career transition program. Job training, resume building, interview prep, placement assistance. It's designed for people who need a fresh start. You're eligible if you're willing to do the work. Marcus blinked. What? It's not a handout. You'll work for it. But if you're serious about changing direction, the program is available. She turned to Pamela. The Margaret Brennan Foundation specifically helps women in crisis situations. Housing assistance, job training, emergency funds. You're literally our target demographic. The shelter you're in right now? We partner with them. Someone from our team will reach out to you this week. Pamela's eyes filled with tears. Vincent, I can't help with your personal finances, but I can connect you with some excellent financial advisors who specialize in rebuilding after major losses. No guarantees, but guidance. She stopped in front of my father. And Grandpa, I can't save Dalton Industries. That company failed because it refused to adapt, refused to see value in anything that didn't fit a narrow definition of excellence. It's dying because it was built on exclusion. My father's hands were shaking. But, Lily said softly, I can make sure you don't lose the estate. I'll pay off the mortgage. Not because you deserve it, but because it was Grandma Margaret's home once, and I won't let her memory be foreclosed on. Why? My father whispered. After everything we did. Lily looked at me, then back at him. Because my mom taught me that holding on to anger makes you sick. Because my grandma taught me that grace isn't about what people deserve, it's about who you choose to be. And because I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this to prove that the adequate daughter, the mediocre granddaughter, the one you threw away, she's worth more than your entire legacy ever was. I watched my father cry for the first time in my life. Watched Pamela sob into her hands. Watched Vincent stare at Lily like he was seeing a ghost. Watched Marcus look at his shoes, ashamed. We stayed for an hour. Had awkward coffee. Made stilted conversation. Lily told them about Green Path Technologies, about the sale, about her plans for the foundation. She was gracious and kind, but she didn't perform for them. Didn't seek their approval. She didn't need it. As we were leaving, my father caught my arm. Gina, I'm sorry. I was wrong. About everything. I looked at this old man, this patriarch whose approval I'd desperately wanted for 39 years. And I felt pity. And relief. And freedom. I know, I said simply. Can you forgive me? I'm working on it. But Dad? I don't need your approval anymore. I haven't for a long time. His face crumpled. I kissed his cheek, something I couldn't remember ever doing, and walked away. Lily and I climbed back into the helicopter. As we lifted off, I looked down at the estate, at the family standing on the lawn watching us leave. "How do you feel?" Lily asked. I thought about it. Really thought. "Free," I said finally. "I feel free." She squeezed my hand. We flew home to our cottage by the ocean, to the life we'd built from nothing, to a future we'd created on our own terms. And it was more than enough. It was everything. Moral of the story. You know what I learned through all of this? Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up. Who believes in you when you're nobody. Who protects you when you're vulnerable. My grandmother was family. Lily was family. The rest? They were just people who shared my last name. I also learned that sometimes the greatest gift is being underestimated. Because when no one expects anything from you, you're free to become everything. Lily built an empire because she wasn't crushed by the weight of being the golden child. She had space to fail, to learn, to grow on her own terms. And I learned that approval you have to beg for isn't worth having. The moment I stopped performing for my father's love, I found peace. Real peace. These days, Lily runs her foundation. I volunteer there twice a week, helping women who remind me of who I used to be, afraid, invisible, desperate to be seen. We have Sunday dinners. Just us. Sometimes we invite friends. People we chose. People who chose us back. That's family. That's legacy. If my story touched you, hit that subscribe button for more emotional tales from Jossy Revenge. And even if it didn't, come on, subscribe anyway, I'll win you over next time. Drop a comment, like the video, and let's keep the stories alive. Thanks for watching.